The film opens with a vibrant burst of color and chaos in Buñol, Spain, where the world-famous La Tomatina festival is in full swing. Streets overflow with thousands of revelers, their laughter echoing as ripe tomatoes explode midair and smear across faces, walls, and clothes. Amid the seemingly harmless joy of the celebration, a far more serious operation is quietly unfolding beneath the surface, a joint intelligence mission between MI6 and the CIA. What was supposed to be just another routine maneuver in the shadows of international espionage quickly spirals into something far more dangerous. Leading the mission is Noelle Bisset, a razor-sharp MI6 agent known for her composure, strategic brilliance, and unshakable instincts. Her team's objective, to finally apprehend Viktor Gradov, a notorious Russian arms dealer whose name has haunted global intelligence databases for years. This should have been a textbook capture, but almost immediately, something feels off. As the agents move in, it becomes clear that this isn't just a simple takedown. Gradov has layered his presence with multiple decoys, lookalikes, and distractions, turning the festival into a dizzying maze of false leads. Each second wasted adds to the confusion and brings them closer to disaster. Then Noel spots it, a suspicious van parked just beyond the crowd, too out of place to ignore. Her instincts scream that something is wrong, and she's right. In a split second, everything unravels. The van explodes into chaos, triggering an ambush they never saw coming. It's a trap, meticulously planned and mercilessly executed. The team is decimated in an instant. Lives are lost. Comrades vanish. Screams are drowned beneath the roar of the crowd and the carnage of betrayal. In the wreckage, Noel is presumed dead. Another casualty of a mission gone horribly wrong. But while the world believes MI6 has lost some of its finest operatives, something even more catastrophic is unfolding behind the scenes. In the midst of the mayhem, a man named Arthur Hammond, an enigmatic and dangerous associate of Gradov, manages to slip through the chaos and gain access to Echelon, the world's most powerful and top-secret global surveillance network. A digital crown jewel of intelligence gathering, now in the wrong hands. The story then transitions to the bustling heart of London, where the weight of global politics hums quietly beneath the city's rainy skies. The camera lingers on a man slouched on a leather couch, eyes fixed on the glowing television screen. He's not just any man. This is Sam Clark, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And right now, he's absorbed in a news report about the arrival of the President of the United States. Will Derringer, the man in question, has just landed in London. He's here for a brief visit before continuing to the highly anticipated NATO summit in Italy. The news anchors are practically glowing with excitement, fawning over Derringer's every move, his charm, his celebrity past. Once a beloved Hollywood icon with box office hits under his belt, Derringer has now reinvented himself as the leader of the free world. But to Sam, all the media adoration only fuels his irritation. He shifts on the couch, jaw clenched, remote dangling from one hand. The thought of spending diplomatic time with Will Derringer, a man Sam considers more actor than actual statesman, leaves a bitter taste in his mouth. Their philosophies couldn't be more different. Will is theatrical, loud, and impulsive. Sam, on the other hand, is reserved, grounded, and shaped by a lifetime of quiet public service. Frustrated and restless, Sam abruptly turns off the television, grabs his running shoes, and heads out into the early morning drizzle for some much-needed clarity. His aides know better than to stop him when he's like this. As his sneakers hit the pavement, his aide and longtime confidant Quincy Harrington delivers the devastating update. The joint MI6 CIA operation in Spain has gone wrong. Almost the entire team is presumed dead or missing.
I'm presumed dead. I'm so sorry.
But it's the name Noelle Bisset that stops Sam cold. He doesn't flinch outwardly, he's too well trained for that, but something in his eyes shifts. The news hits him like a punch to the gut. Noelle wasn't just another agent in the field. She was a friend, a confidant. someone who had stood by Sam long before politics consumed his life. Hearing of her likely death amid a mission gone sideways isn't just a professional loss, it's a personal one. And in that moment, as he slows to a halt under the grey London sky, the Prime Minister doesn't feel like a world leader. He feels like a man who has just lost someone who mattered. Meanwhile, across town behind the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace, President Will Derringer is settling into his temporary royal quarters, accompanied by his wife and young daughter. As always, wherever Will goes, the spotlight follows. Fans and curious onlookers have gathered in droves outside the palace gates, some holding signs, others just hoping for a glimpse of the former Hollywood heartthrob turned commander-in-chief. To the public, he's more than just a politician. He's a global celebrity, a living symbol of American charisma and boldness. But beneath the polished charm and photo-ready smile, Will carries a simmering frustration of his own, especially when it comes to his British counterpart. Though the cameras often capture courteous smiles and firm handshakes. Behind closed doors, the relationship between Will and Prime Minister Sam Clarke is anything but diplomatic. There's a bitter rivalry brewing between them, one laced with unspoken resentment, differing worldviews, and bruised egos. The tension between the two men has become so palpable, so public, that it started to strain the very alliance their nations depend on. Will's visit to London isn't just ceremonial, it's strategic. His mission is to smooth things over, to stitch the fraying fabric of NATO unity before it tears completely. Not long after his family steps out for an engagement, Will is briefed in private by his ever-efficient aide, Simone Bradshaw. Her expression alone tells him everything he needs to know. The mission in Spain was a failure, but what she reveals next is even more disturbing. Viktor Gradov, once labeled simply as a high-profile arms dealer, is in fact far more dangerous than previously known. He was once a rogue black market weapons engineer, a man with the intellect and resources to develop war tools the world had never seen. Years ago, a NATO-led task force dealt him a devastating blow by destroying his secret manufacturing compound. Since then, Gradov had vanished. No trace, no sightings, nothing. For 2 years, the intelligence community heard nothing but whispers. The Spain operation was their first real chance in a long time, a rare shot at stopping him before he could rebuild. But Gradov outmaneuvered them. Again. Later that afternoon, both Will and Sam arrive at the grand venue where a joint press conference awaits them. The air is thick with unease. Their body language betrays the diplomatic script. No real warmth, only forced civility. They make their way to the stage, flanked by reporters from across the globe. The conference begins, but it quickly derails when the subject of the Spain operation comes up. Reporters fire questions like bullets, digging for answers, demanding accountability. But the real fear swirling in the room isn't just about a failed mission. It's about Echelon. With Gradov now holding access to Echelon, the world's most sophisticated surveillance system is compromised. Every email, every video call, every security camera feed, nothing is safe. Gradov hasn't just become a threat, he's become omnipresent, an invisible eye in every corner of the digital world. As the questions intensify, the deep ideological divide between Sam and Will surfaces. Tensions boil over. Their difference in strategy, one measured and diplomatic, the other bold and confrontational, sparks a near altercation right in front of the cameras. Though they manage to hold back from a full-blown argument, the damage is done. Within minutes of the broadcast, clips from the press conference are trending online. Hashtags explode, memes circulate, and the already fragile relationship between the UK and the US becomes a global spectacle. Once the flashing cameras are gone and the press conference fades into the noise of news cycles and social media commentary, the tension between the two leaders finally explodes in private. Behind closed doors, the carefully curated diplomacy shatters. Sam Clarke and Will Derringer, two men bound by duty but divided by philosophy, descend into a heated, almost personal exchange. Old grudges, political differences, and mutual disdain all come to the surface in an argument that quickly spirals out of control. Fortunately, their ever-loyal aides, Simone Bradshaw for Will and Quincy Harrington for Sam, step in before the situation gets irreparably out of hand. Calm and professional, the two advisors do more than just damage control. They urge both leaders to put aside their differences for the sake of global optics. With the NATO summit approaching and the world on edge after the Spain operation debacle, the symbolism of unity matters more than ever. Simone proposes a strategic move. Both heads of state should fly together aboard Air Force One to Trieste, Italy. Traveling side by side would project strength and solidarity, a crucial message in a moment of international instability. Reluctantly, and with obvious disdain, both Will and Sam agree. Meanwhile, far from the political theater and diplomatic tension, a much darker scene unfolds in Côte d'Azur, France. Inside a secluded estate drenched in luxury and shadows, Victor Gradov reveals the full extent of his cold, merciless nature. He confronts the sniper whose minor error during the Spain operation nearly compromised everything. There's no second chance, no explanation, no mercy. Gradov executes the man without hesitation, sending a brutal message to his network. Failure is not tolerated. His ruthless efficiency, chilling silence, and icy resolve make one thing clear: he isn't just a threat. He's a force of terror operating with precision and no remorse. Back aboard Air Force One, thousands of feet above ground, Will and Sam attempt polite conversation in front of the staff and security detail. For a few minutes, they share civil small talk, recollections from past summits, veiled jabs at foreign policies.
Decided they like our G.I. Joe jawline. Watch it.
But it doesn't take long for the civility to dissolve. Soon, they're once again at odds, arguing over governance, leadership, and the burden of power. It's as if the confined cabin only magnifies their differences. But just as their voices rise, fate intervenes.
No, what's that?
Unbeknownst to anyone on board, the plane is no longer under friendly control. Somewhere, deep in the digital corridors of Echelon, Gradov's people have infiltrated the flight systems. He's launched a direct attack, a calculated strike to eliminate both leaders in one devastating blow. The diplomatic flight becomes a high-value target. Alarms blare. Security scrambles. Outside the aircraft, multiple heat signatures light up. Missiles are incoming. At first, Sam and Will continue arguing, unaware of the chaos brewing around them. But the sudden jolt of the aircraft, followed by a chorus of emergency sirens, snaps them into the grim reality. Panic erupts. The plane is under siege. Amid the chaos, an agent races to them. He doesn't mince words. "You need to jump. Now there's no time." He shoves parachutes into their hands, barking orders over the roar of the damaged engines. Before pushing them out into the stormy sky, the agent looks them both in the eye and delivers one final command: get to the safe house in Poland. Whatever happens, survive. Then, with no time to think, both men are ejected from the plane, free-falling into uncertainty. Two political rivals suddenly turned reluctant fugitives, united by nothing but the instinct to stay alive. News spreads like wildfire. Within hours, breaking reports begin flooding international media. Air Force One has gone down over Belarusian airspace. The unthinkable has happened. President Will Derringer and Prime Minister Sam Clark, two of the most powerful figures in the world, are presumed dead in what is being described as a tragic act of terrorism. A flurry of speculation follows. Was it a mechanical failure? A targeted strike? A declaration of war? The world holds its breath while chaos simmers beneath the surface. In Washington, D.C., the American government scrambles to contain the fallout. Vice President Elizabeth Kirk, resolute and visibly shaken, takes the podium in the White House press briefing room. With the weight of a grieving nation pressing down on her shoulders, she declares herself acting president. Her voice is calm but edged with steel as she vows to uncover the truth behind the attack and bring those responsible to justice, no matter how far or how high the conspiracy goes. And yet, far from the somber ceremonies and official statements, the real story is just beginning. In the dense wilderness near the Belarus-Poland border, two men, bruised, soaked, and very much alive, struggle to their feet amidst the wreckage of their emergency landing. Stranded, disoriented, and alone in hostile territory, President Will Derringer and Prime Minister Sam Clark now find themselves in a position neither of them could have imagined, not behind podiums or negotiating at summits, but dodging death and clinging to survival with only each other for support. Their suits are torn, their phones are gone, their security detail is dead, and the world believes they are too. As the cold reality begins to sink in, Will clings to hope. His natural charisma and optimism push him to believe that a rescue team is already on its way, that somewhere, someone is tracking them and preparing a covert extraction. They'll find us, he insists, brushing off dirt and blood from his sleeves. They always do. But Sam, ever the realist, has none of it. He glares at Will, frustration simmering beneath his battered exterior. They won't come, he says with grim certainty. Not now, not after this. Someone from inside set us up, and whoever did it made sure the whole world thinks we're dead. No one risks crossing enemy lines for corpses. The words hang heavy in the air. It's not just a disagreement, it's a revelation. They're not missing in action. They're not targets for recovery. They've been erased. And so, in the middle of unfamiliar, unfriendly terrain, the two most powerful men on Earth are reduced to fugitives with no backup, no resources, and no plan. Except one. Survive long enough to reach the safe house in Poland. 15 kilometers. That's all that separates them from possible safety. A brutal stretch of unforgiving land patrolled by those who would likely shoot on sight. But it's their only hope. With no better options and nothing left to lose, they tighten the straps of their makeshift gear and begin walking. The silence between them is no longer just about political differences, it's about fear, exhaustion, and the terrifying unknown. But with every step they take, they begin to realize that if they are going to make it out alive, they'll need more than strategy and survival skills. They'll need to trust each other. Back in Trieste, Italy, where dignitaries and military leaders have begun to gather under a darkening cloud of uncertainty, acting President Elizabeth Kirk wastes no time. With the help of top-level cybersecurity experts, she orders the immediate reboot of Echelon, the crown jewel of international surveillance. The race is on to regain control of the compromised system before it falls completely into enemy hands. As code scrolls down glowing monitors and technicians scramble through layers of firewalls, hope flickers briefly on the edge of success. But just as the final sequence nears completion, a devastating breach rips through the servers.
What's happening?
Arthur Hammond, ever one step ahead, manages to infiltrate the reboot. It's too late. In a matter of seconds, control slips from NATO's grip and lands squarely in the hands of Viktor Gradov. The system, once a tool of global security, is now a weapon of mass manipulation. Echelon belongs to him. Meanwhile, across the continent, presumed dead and still on the run, Will Derringer and Sam Clark are learning just how difficult survival can be in the real world. Desperate for transportation and with every second counting, they spot an unattended vehicle and attempt to steal it. But their luck continues to run dry. A gang of local boys catches them in the act, and what starts as a scuffle quickly turns into an overwhelming brawl. Outnumbered and outmatched, both men brace for what seems like an inevitable beating.
Don't.
Then, salvation arrives in the most unexpected form. An elderly woman, small, sturdy, and surprisingly fierce, intervenes without hesitation. With a broom in hand and a commanding voice, she drives the boys away as if swatting flies. She doesn't ask questions, nor does she seem surprised to find two half-dead politicians in a fistfight on the roadside. She simply offers them a ride to the Polish border, in the back of her rickety truck, stuffed to the brim with bleeding sheep. It's an uncomfortable journey, but it carries them across a landscape of forests and border roads until the bright lights of Warsaw finally come into view.
Может, договоримся?
Что?
As the truck slows to a halt, Will and Sam thank the old woman with genuine gratitude. Her kindness possibly the only thing standing between them and death. She gives a knowing smile, tips her head, and drives away without fanfare. Once in the capital, they're taken in by CIA officer Marty Comer, an old contact who owes them more than a few favors. The safe house is modest, secure, and, at least for now, hidden. But peace is short-lived. What they don't realize is that Gradov's control over Echelon has made them visible again. Every camera lens, cell tower, and digital pulse is a potential informant. Their location is no longer secret. The moment they stepped into Warsaw, they re-entered the game. Marty fills them in on just how bad things have gotten. Echelon's compromise has thrown the global intelligence community into disarray. Long-standing allies are turning on one another. Trust is eroding fast, and the upcoming NATO summit has become more than just a meeting. It's ground zero for a geopolitical showdown. He also hints at rising tensions between acting President Kirk and Simone Bradshaw, suggesting that even within their inner circle, loyalties are unraveling. Will, ever the optimist, argues that it's time to call the US Embassy and reveal the truth. They're alive. It could shift the balance and restore order. But Sam remains deeply skeptical. "We don't know who's listening," he says. "The high command is probably compromised. If we make one wrong move, we won't live long enough to explain ourselves." Their debate grows heated. Yet again, two men with the same goal but completely different instincts. But before they can reach any decision, the threat arrives.
The goddamn call. Line's dead.
Gradov's assassins, Sasha and Olga, a pair of cold-blooded operatives with deadly precision, have tracked them down. The safe house erupts in chaos as bullets shatter windows and shadows move with lethal intent. The hunt is no longer quiet. Now it's war. As the men try to kill Will and Sam, Marty takes his responsibility of protecting them very seriously.
Not in the movies now, son.
He single-handedly takes all of Gradov's men down except Sasha and Olga, who shot him in the head. Seeing Marty's situation, Will and Sam take the secondary exit, and once out of the building, they are captured. But before anything could happen, they are saved by Noel Bisset, who somehow survived Gradov's attack in Spain.
Sam? How are you not dead?
The story takes an interesting turn when Noel tells them that all that Gradov is doing is because of a personal vendetta. His son was a scientist, and years ago, when destroying his manufacturing plant, where they thought he was building nukes, which he wasn't, they accidentally killed his son. The cherry on top, not only did they kill his son, but they also covered up the crime and stole his son's technology to use for their purposes. And now, Gradov's motivation isn't just revenge. It's about completely destroying NATO from within. This is not all. They believe that Gradov has someone in power working on his side, because without the help, he wouldn't have been able to pull off all of this. Their first suspect is Quincy, because he was the one who forced Sam to travel in the same plane as Will. On the other hand, Bradshaw informs the others about the attack on the safe house in Warsaw, believing that maybe Sam and Will are still alive. Quincy doesn't believe her, as they all saw what happened to the Air Force One they were traveling in. Kirk assures that CAI will look into the matter, while they all need to solve the issues with NATO. Quincy also tells Bradshaw to believe that their leaders are gone, and it would be better to accept it sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, in Warsaw, Sam doesn't believe that Quincy could be working with Gradov, because he has known him for ages. Noel, tired of their bickering, tells them to stop fighting and focus on getting to Trieste. They manage to catch a train that would hopefully take them safely to Italy. On the other hand, in France, Hammond gets an Echelon alert about Will and Sam being spotted at the train station, but he hesitates to tell this to Gradov. They successfully reach Austria without any disturbance, but they still have a long way to go before Trieste. During their ride, Will finds out that Sam and Noel were in a relationship prior to Sam deciding to run for the office. As she leaves to get them breakfast, Sam admits that he wanted to make a change to the world, and for her to grow old together with him. But Noel didn't see things his way, and they both broke up. A few moments pass in silence, but they are soon attacked by one of Gradov's assassins. But Hammond, tired of being forced to work for Gradov, kills the assassin, but is mortally wounded in the process. Hearing the commotion, Noel arrives, but Sam stops her from killing Hammond. In his last moments, he tells the trio that someone on the inside is working with Gradov. He doesn't know who the person is, but they helped Gradov get into Echelon and even take down Air Force One. He instructs them to get off the train right now, or else they will be killed by Gradov's men at the next station. He tells them about his former office in Zadar, Croatia, and how from there they can find out who betrayed them. Even though Noel isn't a fan of jumping off a moving train, the boys are on one side and they all jump off.
Sergeant forever!
Meanwhile, things are a bit tense at the White House as all the other nations believe that dismantling NATO is the best option now. Off the train, the trio steals a car and reaches their location in Zadar, but soon Gradov's men arrive there too. Sam takes the responsibility to hold them off, while Noel and Will try to find out who the mole is. While going through Hammond's computer, they manage to locate old chat logs that implicate Will Derringer's aide, Simone Bradshaw. They are shocked, but there is no time to delve into hard feelings as they are under attack. During the commotion, Sam is killed in an explosion, while Noel and Will manage to escape. Heartbroken, but still determined to fulfill their mission, Will and Noel take a ship to Trieste. 30 minutes before the NATO vote, they reach the Trieste port, and Will calls Elizabeth Kirk, informing her about his survival and that Bradshaw is the culprit. Promising to hold off the vote as long as possible, she hangs up. After a few moments, a car arrives to escort them, but they soon find out that the real traitor is Vice President Elizabeth Kirk, who implicated Bradshaw as a false trail. Learning about the truth, they fight for their survival, all while Kirk and Gradov's assassins chase them through Trieste.
Take the wheel!
Again!
The two of them are saved by Sam, who survived the explosion in Zadar and traveled all the way from Croatia to Trieste in a fire truck.
Sam?
Seeing him reignites the hope inside Will and Noel, who kiss Sam passionately. But the danger isn't over, as they are still being chased by the assassins. Fighting for their lives, they barely make it to the location of the NATO summit. Before the vote can be completed, the arrival of Sam and Will sends shockwaves among everyone. Their speech about unity and strength prevents the dissolution of NATO. Kirk shows her true face, saying that the US doesn't need the alliances, and Will confronts her about his misconduct, but she is shot and killed by Gradov. Whose assassins assault the summit. When people run to save their lives, Noel, Will, and Sam run after Gradov. Noel fights and kills Sasha, while Sam and Will pursue Gradov, ultimately killing him when the latter throws a statue at his helicopter, causing it to crash. During this, Sam is brutally injured, but is saved. 2 months after the incidents, the relationships within NATO have been repaired, and Clark and Derringer have become close friends. The scene shifts to the two having drinks together, talking about family and life. The movie ends with a scene at a bar where Marty Comer is flirting with girls. It is revealed that he survived the attack in Warsaw due to a metal plate in his head. After the girls paid no attention to his stories, there was one who believed him, Agent Noel Bisset.
Nice to meet you.